I have been a full-time mom for the last 3.5 years, and a month ago, I decided to go back to work. And in this video, I'm sharing how that went, what I'm doing now, and all the thought processes along the way. In case we haven't met, my name is Kalina. I am a full-time mom to a 3.5-year-old boy and also a 4.5-month-old girl. And in my channel, we're keeping things really positive, informative, encouraging, and talking all things non-toxic products, parenting, motherhood, and homeschooling. So if that's your vibe, like and subscribe for new videos every week. So let's walk back to 2024 for a second. We were living in Tennessee. My husband was the one working. I had an angelic 1.5-year-old baby, and things were really great. We were living in a very affordable area. We had our mortgage in our Tennessee house, which was about $1,800 a month with a 3% interest rate. Really just something that you don't see in most places today. And towards the end of the year, we started getting the itch to be closer to family. And our family is from California. And it seemed like work-wise, things were really changing. So companies were less likely to hire remote workers, and it really was seeming to focus on hybrid or fully in-office roles, which in the area that we were living just would not have been possible because it was a smaller town. So my husband and I decided to move to California. I have to say, probably the biggest mistake of the last few years, possibly the last 10 years that we've made. First off, Tennessee doesn't have income tax and California does. So if nothing else changes, you're automatically making 10% less money moving from Tennessee to California. Then on top of that, we had all of our cross-country moving expenses, which added up to a lot. And then my husband lost his job. And now we're in a new era of AI where things are changing. Nobody knows what's going on. And my husband's a software engineer. So that field used to be extremely lucrative, used to be very sought after, and really kind of a safe bet in the world. And now it's one of the worst career choices to have because it's being taken over by AI. So while my husband is trying to find a halfway decent job that's not lowballing him, I get pregnant. It takes a few months for my husband to even find something that's halfway decent, making still about 20% less than what he was making prior. And on top of that, it's not a regular cushy full-time job. It's actually just a contractor job, which means no benefits. And if you're living in California, you have to have health insurance, which means that you have to get Cover California marketplace insurance, which is crazy freaking expensive. I think we were paying $2,200 a month for a family of 3. By this time, our living expenses doubled moving from Tennessee to California. We were paying $1,800 for our mortgage, and now we're paying $3,600 for a rental. We were paying twice as much in California just to rent as we were to own in Tennessee. We did finally get some renters in our place, so at least we didn't have to pay the mortgage too. On top of that, at 34 weeks pregnant, my landlord sends me a notice that says that they're not renewing our lease. And we've only been in our place for 10 months. And that makes us have to move again, which, by the way, if you're curious to know how the heck I did that pregnant, check out this video. So here we are moving, super pregnant. I'm 37 weeks pregnant when we moved to another place, which was, thank God, the only place that we found that was actually halfway decent to move to in the same city. That was 16% more than what we were paying. So just one thing after another, just slowly chipping away, slowly hemorrhaging money. We just decided that it didn't make sense for us to rent our house anymore, and that the only way to buy us some runway to survive in California was to sell our house. Another huge regret. So we list our house, and it's not an optimal time because it's the dead of winter, and we have no idea when this thing is going to sell. And then comes time to give birth, and things definitely did not go as planned. So at not even 3 months postpartum, there I am again in the job market trying to just find something. It was really hard to put myself out there again because I really wanted to be a full-time mom, and I still do. That's just where my heart and my soul is at this season in life. But at the end of the day, we need to keep the lights on in our house, and I can't enjoy my kids or being a mom if we're doing that out of a cardboard box. So here I am applying for 10 to 20 jobs a day. I'm updated on LinkedIn. I updated my resume, and I'm just sending things out left and right, applying to everything that I can possibly grab. Things that are above where I was, things that were kind of where I left off in my career, and then even things that were 2 roles below where I was. And to be honest, I had no idea what to expect because I have been out of work for 3 years. AI is a thing now. That wasn't a thing when I was in the job market. So I have no idea if my skills are even marketable, if any company would even hire me with a career gap. So I just wanted to cast a wide net and just pray that someone wanted to hire me. And something really unexpected happened. I actually got hit up a lot for interviews. And I'm not just talking about some random scammy kinds of jobs, which also hit me up too. I'm talking real companies, remote companies, really big companies here in the Los Angeles area, and companies that I didn't even directly apply to also reached out, which I was honestly absolutely shocked by. And some of these were really good companies like Netflix and Red Bull. So now I'm thinking, okay, I actually am getting traction. So I can start strategizing through what a job will actually look like for me that will make me happy and feel like I can find some balance with my lifestyle right now. So one of the options, which was probably the lowest salary, actually a contact that I worked with at a past job just got a job there, and he was giving me the inside scoop about the culture, and he was really talking it up and telling me that it was just a lot better than a lot of companies that he's worked at, even though the salaries weren't as good as some other companies. It was also a remote job, which to me was really important because in the area that I live in, commuting, even though miles wise, it's not that far, time wise, it really is. So an 8-hour day can really easily look like a 10 or a 12-hour day. And going from being a full-time mom to working full-time is one thing, but having an 8-hour day versus a 12-hour day, that is a really big difference in time with my kids. I'm seeing that remote is a possibility. And the next thing that I was looking for was just a low stress job. The other part was finding something that would be more asynchronous. So I just didn't want to find a role where I was in meetings all day and then expected to also do some work after hours. That just wasn't going to work for me. I would never see my kids. So honestly, I ended up finding the perfect job that met all that criteria. It was remote. It was asynchronous hours. It was an analyst role, which was doing strategic sourcing and procurement, which is what I was doing before, but just at a lower level. And it was also for a company that was kid focused and very family friendly and seemed to be really understanding of the fact that I still wanted to prioritize my kids. So fast forward, I get the job offer within 2 weeks, which was also amazing. And every single day leading up to that start date, I felt my anxiety just growing stronger and stronger and just honestly dreading the day when I would have to start working. Mind you, I am less than 3 months postpartum with baby number 2. My whole world has been changed by birth complications just a few weeks ago. And my toddler just went from having his mom 100% of his life for over 3 years to having just a sliver of me because I'm spending so much time taking care of my new baby. So my toddler is already struggling and I'm already struggling, feeling like a failure and feeling like I've abandoned my child. So the first day comes around and it was okay. You know, that first week, there's really not a whole lot that you do. It's more getting used to the company and all that kind of stuff. And I had someone that I knew and I trusted come to take care of my kids. And I felt like I could handle that. I felt like I could handle someone coming in just as an extra set of hands. And then since my husband and I were both working remotely, I feel like we could kind of tag team between the three of us so that we could still see our kids as much as is possible for 2 working parents. And let me tell you, that still didn't cut it. My daughter refuses to be happy in anyone else's arms except for her mom and dad's. She's only a couple months old. I wouldn't expect otherwise. But I basically was trying to sit there in meetings pretending that what I was doing was more important than hearing my daughter lose her shit in the other room, crying, screaming for her mom, and I couldn't get to her. And let me tell you, I was crying and screaming on the inside too with her. And now the little sliver of time that I did have with my son, especially in the morning, which is when we did all of our homeschool stuff and our reading, which, by the way, if you're curious what homeschool curriculum I'm doing with him, then check out this video. Now that sliver that he has of me is even smaller. And let me tell you, that really showed in our relationship for the next few days after that. He's looking at me out the window right now. He's so cute. So now I'm working, something I don't want to be doing. And now my kids are losing it throughout the day and I can see them and I can hear them, but I can't be there for them or be there with them. And I just felt like a snail that had been salted, just slowly shriveling up and just my soul was crumbling into nothingness. That same week that I started work, we got an offer on our house and that changed everything. I told my realtor, I really don't care what it is, as long as it's somewhat reasonable, even if it's on the lower side, say yes. So that's exactly what we did. We accepted an offer and that moved really quickly. So in 3 weeks, we had enough money to buy us some runway in California for 1, maybe 2 years if we were kind of frugal and smart about it. And that just took some of the pressure off. But I had just accepted this job. I had just started working. I was scared about the instability that would happen if I left the job, even though this money was coming in from my house. So I just decided to kind of stick with it and see what happened. And it was an absolute shitstorm. It just continued to be terrible. I couldn't handle the depression of being away from my kids and just seeing that they needed me so much and being so close to them and not being able to be with them, that by the time the end of the week rolled around, my husband just goes, Helena, you need to quit. And we talked about it. And I said, look, I want to quit. And I know we have this money coming in from the house, but I'm also just scared because so many things have gone wrong and I don't want to leave us in a financially precarious position, especially because I have high income earning potential and not everyone has that. And I was very blessed to even be able to get that, especially after having a sabbatical for 3 years. But I felt like I was choosing between happiness and financial security. And it's really hard because you kind of can't have one without the other. So long story short, I listen to him, which I often do because he's really smart and he has really good advice and always has my best interests at heart. And I decided to put in my notice. And let me tell you, it was really awkward, but they were very understanding. And honestly, once I had just made that decision, I just felt this weight lift from my heart and I just trusted my gut and knew that it was the right decision. And that's the story of how I started and stopped working. So part of my takeaway from this is that I need to really live for the family that I have now, because even though we had planned on seeing family and friends and things like that in our move back to California, the toll that it took on my little family unit, myself, my husband, and my kids really didn't feel like it was worth it. So if I could do it all over again, I would have just stayed in Tennessee and I would have figured something out there, but it just wasn't worth it with how expensive it was here and how much stress it caused my family. So at this point, honestly, we're actually thinking about moving back to Tennessee because financially, it just makes so much more sense. And experiencing what we have over the last year, I just feel like this is not a sustainable lifestyle for us unless you have 2 working parents who are making high income. I do also want to say, I really wish that someone had told me in my late teens, early 20s, Kalina, one day you might want to have kids, and when that day comes, you might decide that you don't want to go back to work and that you want to raise them and be with them full time. So make sure that you plan accordingly. Start your own business, have sustainable systems in place, make as much money as you possibly can and stash it away, lower your cost of living, invest that money, be really smart with it so that you have 3, 5, 10 years of breathing room between yourself and your partner to actually raise your family the way that you want to do it. And same for guys too. I mean, my husband and I have been together going on 16 years. We always knew we wanted to have kids, but no one stopped my husband and said, listen, dude, one day you're going to marry a lady, you're going to have kids, and that lady might want to stay home with them full time, or you might want to stay home with them full time. How are you going to set your family up to enable you to be able to do that so that you're not beholden to someone else for a paycheck and that you don't have to sacrifice your family in favor of financial stability and that paycheck? I just think it's really sad that so many families have to choose one or the other. I wish that it wasn't that way. And I wish that our culture and our society didn't reward that way of thinking because, for example, I've been a tax-paying citizen my entire life. I've been working since I was 16. But if I want to take a couple years away to raise my family, I don't even get any tax breaks for that. But I do get tax breaks if I choose to prioritize work, even if that means taking home 30% of the salary that I'm actually making in exchange for 100% less time with my kids. But I only get an incentive, a tax break, if I actually put them in daycare and someone else watches them. It shouldn't be that way. And this is not me poo-pooing daycare. It's very necessary for most families. And it was something that I had looked into as well when we first had a kid. But I'm just saying that our society should be built in a way that encourages families to stay together. And any systems or people that are telling you it's better for someone else to raise your kids and be around your kids more than your parents, I just think is wrong and is probably evil, and you shouldn't listen to that. So how much longer will we stay in California? Who knows? But I do know that this really lit a fire under my ass. I definitely want to start some kind of business, even if that means that I need to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or stay up late at night with my husband or sacrifice some, downtime that I'm relaxing during one of my kids' naps during the day, because this is obviously not sustainable for us. And there's no way that I'm going to be able to just go back to work, working a regular full-time job and just be happy spending that much time away from my kids. So once I figure that out, I'll take you along on that journey with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.